The year 2020 has been a year of change. Global changes have included COVID-19 pandemic, which has resulted in us all having to change our ways, especially with traveling on a global scale. Cutting down air traffic has bound many to their place when the regulations came. The world is not as small or open anymore as it used to be. On a regional scale, there have been wildfires and other natural catastrophes. In societies, some people have demanded rights that they should have by default, more visibly than in years, and there have been demonstrations and confrontations in many places around the world. Individually, people have also gone through changes. Some have lost or quit their job, some found a new one. Some have faced economic challenges and some have overcome them. Relatives, family members and friends have passed away and babies have been born. Relationships have been broken and new have been formed. We haven't been able to see some people important to us physically, but we've been able to connect to them and many others via technology. Children have had to do learning outside of school context and stay away from their important social groups. Adults have had to learn working from home, some meanwhile helping their children in education. We all have faced changes of some kind this year, big or small. We face changes normally also, but this year it has been more rapid, more serious and more visible, and more in number and ways. My name is Jani Kontkanen and you are listening to Mitä pelataan podcast. This series is called Paragons of Change. It's a series of interviews with people from boardgaming sphere whom I've noticed going through changes in recent times. We talk about change and what they have changed in their lives. By default, we do not claim we state facts. We only talk from our own points of view and our opinions. As the discussion might take a negative note at times, we try to finish with a positive, by giving you a top 9 list of games. The topic of the list has been chosen by the guest, and we will have a battle of the lists after the episode airs in my social media channels. You, dear listener, are encouraged to comment and vote on the lists to see which one of us did better. The award is pride and fame among the small listener base this podcast has. Now, let's invite our Paragon for today. So this time in Paragons of Change we have our 15th Paragon. Let's welcome Paula Deming. Welcome, Paula.
Hello, thank you. Hi, everyone. Thank you for having me. 15th. Now, one of my favorite numbers is 16. So, if only you had had me one guest later. I could have been my favorite number. Just pretend. We'll pretend I'm 16, and then the next person you talk to, just call them 15.
Okay. Let's see who is the next one. So, if they are up to it, then fine. You can both be 15 and half. Let's say.
Perfect. A good compromise.
Yeah, still not 16, but anyway. If people don't know who you are you and what do you do, especially in the board gaming sphere?
A great question. I bet a bunch of people don't know who I am. My name's Paula Deming. I make the board game sketch comedy series called Things Get Dicey, which is just little short comedic videos about the tabletop board gaming hobby that you can find on YouTube. I do a variety of other things in the board game world as well. I am on the This Game Is Broken podcast, which was actually a new thing that happened to me this past year. And I contribute to Watch It Played. And I stream board games on Twitch on my own personal Twitch channel, which is twitch.tv/Paula Deming, but also every week along with Matthew Jude on the Gen Con TV Twitch channel, which is twitch.tv/Gen Con TV.
You said Things Get Dicey. You've been doing that almost exactly 2 years, right?
Yes,
if
almost.
I remember right.
Yeah, that's exactly right. My anniversary of the first video we released was on, I think, like February 12th or 13th, right before Valentine's Day. So almost 2 years ago exactly, yeah.
Yeah, the topic of that one was the best topic you've had so far. Because it touches every single board gamer in some way.
Yeah, that now it's funny. I made that video about analysis paralysis, and when I made it, I thought I was making jokes about other people, but I have learned since, because I'm playing games more publicly now. I was like, wow, I have become very aware of my own analysis paralysis, and it's bad. I have it bad.
Yeah, but it's not wrong. If you like to think things, you like to think things. We just have to cope.
Yes. I just get like, when I have too many options, I get really like bogged down in, oh no, what direction should I go in? And then I can't make a choice, which is why I really like when a game gives you like a starting objective. Because you're like, okay, at least I know in my first couple of turns something to work toward. And if I shift that as the game goes on, great. But that helps me a lot in my first few turns. If I'm like, okay, I have a secret objective and it's to get orange resources, so I'm going to focus on that first, so that helps me a lot.
I'm actually the same. If there are evenly good options that you can do 3 different things, but all of those are evenly good, and then you have to consider the further impact of those choices. I'm the same. I might think too long.
Yes.
Because I don't want to make a mistake that carries
Right?
over to a further part in the game. It's
Exactly.
really, really bad sometimes. But we are not here to talk about analysis paralysis.
True.
We're talking about you and your past year. How has year 2020 and this beginning of 2021 been for you?
Oh boy, how was 2020? I feel like it's such a loaded question. 2020 is really, I know we're here to talk about change, and I saw a lot of change in maybe some of the obvious ways, but maybe in some less obvious ways as well. I actually ended up getting a lot more work in 2020 because because we were all kind of have been stuck at home. I think a lot of people have been seeing this new need for online content, and that was things I was already doing. And so more opportunities for that really started to open up for me in 2020. A lot of things got added to my schedule in 2020. I started streaming for Gen Con TV. I started being a regular cast member of This Game is Broken, and I began contributing to the YouTube channel Watch It Played. And those were all 3 pretty big and new things for me that actually have allowed me to take my board game content creation pretty much full time. Before 2020, I was working, so I'm in Los Angeles and I'm here for my acting career. But I was also working for like 8 years at a visual effects company. And I did a variety of things at the visual effects company. I was a visual effects artist, and then I was a coordinator, and then I began working as a recruiter. And then right at the end of 2019, I left that job because I wanted to be able to focus more of my time on Things Get Dicey. And then when 2020 started, so I was newly like trying to do board game content full time. And then in the course of the year, I really have begun doing it pretty full time. It takes up all my time, just every single bit of time, every single minute of my day.
So overtime even.
Oh, yes, definitely overtime. I don't pay myself overtime, though, which is an issue. Should complain to upper management about the way I treat myself when I work.
Do you have human resources department?
It's sadly only me, and I am the worst.
So you can't even go to complain to anyone that you work too much.
It's true.
Maybe you can hire a HR person.
I need to hire someone to remind me to stop working sometimes.
Call service, they call you that now stop working.
Exactly.
Have a break.
Yeah, now is the time. You have to stop now. It's 7:00. Stop working.
That's still a long day, actually.
Yeah, it is. I realized as I said it, I was like, that's even still. I should really stop at 6. But
Yeah. Latest. When did you join This Game is Broken like a full member? Was it also about a year ago?
it was, yeah. So we started talking about it, me joining the cast right around this time last year. And I think we recorded a few episodes, and then in March of 2020, I was over in England. I got to be a guest at AirCon, which I feel really lucky to have been able to do because it's one of the last things. Like, I literally came home from that trip and then was in lockdown. But while we were at AirCon, we did a live This Game is Broken show, and it was the first, like, announcement or reveal that I was going to be joining the cast as a full-time member. So that was just in March of last year. And then my first podcast episode that we recorded went live on April 1st. So almost exactly a year ago for that as well.
No, that's actually cool. You have anniversaries.
Yeah.
Almost.
I can only remember it
here.
because it was, I guess, the beginning of the year. I guess I start a lot of new things. February is Things Get Dicey. I guess April is officially This Game is Broken. So yeah, all these things kind of line up.
Yeah, but if you count from the live show in Aircon, maybe
That's
that
true.
was earlier then.
That's true, because that was in March. Yeah, so.
But which one came first? What's It Played or Gen Con TV?
I feel like they started you know what? The conversations about Watch It Played started first. I started talking with Chaz when he was just focusing on Paradise at PAX Unplugged in 2019. So in December of 2019, he started talking about some ideas he had for some shows we could do that he was interested in maybe having me join in on. And once we started it with that, then from there it kind of grew into, I think we're going to transition these shows from Paradise over to the Watch It Played channel. Because Rodney and Chaz, I think, had been talking I don't want to put words in their mouth, but I think they had been talking for a while about wanting to collaborate together because they're good friends. And so Matthew Jude and I, who had started working with Chaz on his channel, luckily were able to be sort of like brought along for the ride there and get integrated into Watch It Played. So those conversations started happening at the end of 2019, but we didn't actually start being on the channel Watch It Played, I think, until like May. So there was April or May. So there was a little time it took to make that come to fruition, I guess. And the Gen Con conversations, I remember I was on the Dice Tower cruise in January of last year, and I got the email from Gen Con TV that Matthew Jude and I had pitched them, hey, we have this live stream show we think we could do. Here's how we think it would work. It would involve digital. We were already pitching to them, hey, it would involve digital board game playthroughs because we live so far away from each other. It's the only way we can play games together. And we were like, we think people would tune in and watch it. And then I found out in January on the Dice Tower cruise that they wanted to go forward with the show. And so then it was, okay, well, when do we start doing that? And that actually started in April as well, because I was like, well, I have this trip in March over to England, so we should really probably wait to start doing the weekly streams until after I'm back, because we won't be able to stream while I'm in England, and we don't want to start the show and then take like 2 weeks off and then come back to it. Let's wait until we can start the show. So it kind of I'm realizing just now how much all of those things kind of all happened at the same time, which is maybe why 2020 felt a little overwhelming to me.
Yeah. How has it been working on or creating content for Watch It Played? It's a big channel, and Rodney was doing mostly these Watch It Played, so how to play videos and such, and now there are news, and you're doing some top 10s and some kind of other like variety shows.
Yeah.
I've noticed that the channel output has changed a lot.
Yes.
Especially since the summer.
Yeah, so it's neat. I feel like the channel is trying to kind of pivot into something you want to tune into no matter what they're putting out. For me, when I think about a how to play video, I'm not necessarily watching just every how to play video that a YouTube channel puts out, because I only want to watch the videos that relate to the games that I actually want to learn how to play.
Yeah.
But when we're putting out this more like entertainment-based content now there's a reason to watch the videos that channel puts out more consistently, or I hope there is. That's the goal. And it's been really great. Something that I really appreciate about Rodney Smith, is he basically has said to me and the whole team, like, I really like the work that you do. And I want to facilitate you being able to do more of that. So rather than saying, hey, make this kind of thing exactly how I want it, I mean, he has production value standards. You know, he wants it to be it needs to be of a certain quality, of course, but the actual substance of the content, he's like, I like you and your ideas. How can I help you make more of your ideas? And it's so,
That's great.
it's so validating and so encouraging to have someone say, I just want to facilitate your creative endeavors.
And it's really rare to have that opportunity.
It is. It's so rare, and I just feel really grateful. I mean, in a way, I don't want to gush too much, but in a way, I really think I see Rodney as almost like a mentor in the board game media sphere. He's been around. I mean, he's obviously very established. He's got like the 3rd largest YouTube channel about board games, and it's incredibly amazing to be asked to be a part of it. It's such a bigger platform than what Things Get Dicey has.
Yeah.
And it really allows me as well. I've been trying to keep my own personal YouTube channel where I do Things Get Dicey really focused on just that kind of content. Like, people are subscribing for my comedy short videos. And even if I have other ideas, like, well, it might be fun to do videos about this or that or whatever, I was like, I don't know if I want to branch out on my own channel in that way, because I don't know if that's what my subscribers necessarily want to see. And so it's so cool to have a place where I can do other styles of content.
That's actually
which
good.
I'm getting to do for Watch It Played. You know, I'm getting to do these fun, silly, collaborative top 10 countdowns. And I'm actually very soon going to be starting a playthrough series on the channel, which should be, I just sent Rodney today. Here's some insider information. I just sent Rodney today my export of the first episode and was like, I think this is ready to be uploaded whenever you want to. Take a look. Let me know what you think. And it's so cool. I was like, wow. Is it, Rodney, is it good? Hopefully people will like it. We'll see. Maybe I'm saying this and we're like, actually that playthrough series never ended up going anywhere because the viewers hated it. We'll find out. But it's neat because I'm getting to do such a variety of board game content now on a channel that, one, like we said, encourages my creativity, which is so cool, and two, is going to get a lot more eyes on it, honestly, than my own personal channel will. And it's just been really neat. I'm really grateful. Yeah. It's a really cool team. I mean, just working with, we have, bi-weekly meetings with me and Rodney and Chaz and Matthew. And they're just such fun meetings. Like, we'll spend half the time just like hanging out, and it's so nice to be like, wow, I feel lucky to be surrounded by other creative people who I feel like understand me, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. Actually, now I lost my train of thought.
I rambled.
No, it was about the thing that you said before the meeting. I really lost my thought. I'll ask later. But how about for Gen Con TV? How has it been to stream? You're doing it, how often are you doing? Once a week or once in 2 weeks? Or do you do it on a schedule?
So for Gen Con, I stream once a week. That's every Wednesday. And right now it's like at 1:30 p.m. Pacific time every Wednesday, which is like 9:30 p.m. GMT. And that's been really cool. The thing that has brought into my life is just the ability to play more games. There are a lot of games that were released in 2020 that I would not have been able to play. One, except for the fact that the publishers made digital versions of them. So I was able to play them on platforms like Tabletopia or Tabletop Simulator. And two, I have a reason to play those games because I get so busy with work. Sometimes you go, well, now that I'm making videos about board games, I don't have time to actually play board games anymore. But now it's my job to play board games. And so I've gotten to try all kinds of games that I wouldn't have been able to try otherwise, or styles of games, because, I play these games with Matthew Jude, and we have some board game tastes that line up and are very similar, but we have some that are very different. He really likes dry Euros, and I really like dice chucking Ameritrash games. So it's really allowed me to try games that I wouldn't have played otherwise.
Mm-hmm.
Because Matthew's like, oh, I'm interested in this game. And I'm like, it looks real boring, but okay. And then we played. I'm like, wow, that was actually really good. Oh, you're right. Steffenfeld does do good game design.
Yeah, that's true, actually.
Yeah. So, that's a big difference I think it's made in my life. I went back and calculated, how many new games did I play in 2020? It was something like 30 new games.
Mm-hmm.
I never would have played that many new games before. I just wouldn't have without this weekly need to play a new game for Gen Con.
Mm-hmm.
So that's been a really cool thing that stream has added to my life this year.
Yeah. You said that you use Tabletop Simulator and Tabletopia.
Mm-hmm.
Do you play, do you stream from Board Game Arena or Yukata.de or 18xx
Mm-hmm.
Games or any other platforms, or just those two?
Tabletopia and Tabletop Simulator are the main ones that I use. I've used Board Game Arena a couple of times,
Mm-hmm.
and that can be very handy. To me, Board Game Arena feels more like I'm playing an app than I'm playing an actual game. And something that I do really like about Tabletop Simulator and Tabletopia is they're more of like a physics sandbox.
Mm-hmm.
So I can, more in Tabletop Simulator than Tabletopia, but in Simulator, I can kind of pick up a piece and chuck it across the table. Or there's something about it that I still can almost trick my brain into feeling like I'm playing a board game
Mm-hmm.
instead of just playing a computer game.
Yeah. I personally like Board Game Arena more because it's scripted, so you can't make rules mistakes.
Yes.
So that's the
That
good
is
thing
really
in learning
helpful.
new games, especially.
Yes, I 100% agree with that. I was actually played the crew on Board Game Arena really recently, and it was really nice because it just it deals out all your stuff for you. It handles the shuffling. It handles all the you don't have to look and be like, okay, wait, which tokens do we need to grab to represent?
Yeah.
It just does that for you, and then it'll also tell you you can't play that card. And you're like, oh, cool, that's handy. So that is really a nice thing about games on Board Game Arena.
Yeah.
Is it keeps you from, it kind of, I don't want to say hold your hand, but it does a little bit kind of hold your hand, especially when you're first learning a game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you can play 7 Wonders in 5 minutes there if you're all at the computer, so that's also a bit faster.
Ooh, I
than
should
it
try
really-
7 Wonders on Board Game Arena.
Yeah, it works really well, and some other games also work, but especially these card games or things with lots of pieces,
Yes.
they are so quick to play on Board Game Arena.
That is definitely a nice thing because that is one thing, card games or any game where you have to stack cards on top of each other in Tabletopia or Tabletop Simulator can be honestly a real nightmare.
Yeah. I can't imagine playing Dominion or something on Tabletop Simulator. Or Deck
Oh yeah,
Builders
no
or-
way, but that one does work really well on Board Game Arena.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
That's true. This game is broken. It has probably been fun for you, I assume.
Yes, it has been.
Yeah.
It's been really fun.
Yeah, I think it was a good thing for you, perhaps, that you joined these many channels last year, because I don't know how it would have been otherwise last year if you didn't have this online streamings and content creation and podcasts to record and games to play online and everything. Do you think it would have been easier or more difficult last year?
Oh, that's such a good question. I think it's a bit of a mixed bag. On the one hand, having all these things to do kept me busy, and that is good and bad. I feel very busy right now, and I'm actually focusing really hard on how to bring a little bit of balance back to my life because I never leave the house, and I work from home. I kind of feel like I always need to be working, which is not the healthiest thing. I need to remember that it's okay to take time to relax. That's important. But on the other hand, staying busy has helped me get through this year where so many other things that I loved and used to do, I couldn't do anymore. I used to do a lot of improv. Well, I haven't done improv in over a year now because my groups can't get together. So I haven't been performing live. I haven't been getting together with my performance groups. So that sort of got traded out for getting together with my podcast groups, being able to see them online and having a reason to get on Zoom and see people's faces and interact with them. And it's not a substitute for seeing people in real life, but it has helped a lot. I miss my friends, but I still get to see them all the time because we're working on things together. And that has been helpful, especially because we lost all of our opportunities to travel last year. So all the times I would have spent at a convention playing board games and seeing my friends, as we all know, we didn't have those opportunities, but I get to get online and play a game with them. Or when we do this other new thing that I've just been lucky to be a part of, the Tabletop Live Network, is a marathon of board game streamers that's been happening monthly on Twitch, and that's organized by Nick Murphy, Mike Murphy, and Ruel Gaviola. And that has been the closest thing for me personally that I have found in a board game convention. So we've had all these online conventions, and none of them to me really have felt like the experience I want to have at a convention. But this marathon of streaming that I've been able to participate in the last 3 or so months, I was like, wow, this is the closest I feel to actually attending a convention right now. I'm getting up way too early for it. I'm gathering with my friends to play board games. I'm watching other people play board games, and I'm doing it for 24 straight hours. And it feels so connected and community-based, just the way I feel when I'm at a convention. And so that has been something that has really helped me, I think, not feel so lonely this last year.
Yeah, and maybe it's good for mental health also.
Yeah, I think so.
How about, you said that it felt like convention. Have you joined or participated any of these online conventions or digital cons? And if you have, what do you think about them?
Yeah, I was lucky enough to be asked to participate in a few. So I did a few events in Gen Con online. We streamed our regular show that we do for Gen Con, and we also did a live This Game is Broken that we streamed as part of that, which was amazing. It was very cool. But I didn't interact much with people just randomly trying to get together and play games together. I mostly just interacted with the live shows. And then I also participated in Shucks online, which is the Shut Up and Sit Down convention that they did online this year. I did 2 of their live streams, so I've been lucky to participate in that way, and it's been really fun. But in terms of interacting with those online conventions in I'm going to go into a Discord and look for people who are demoing a game or get together with a random group and play a game together, I haven't really connected in that way. And that might just be because I'm already playing games online with people every week anyway. So I didn't feel like I needed that from an online convention. I'm doing that as part of my work. But I don't know. There is something about online conventions. I don't think they've quite found... For me, I don't think they've quite found their thing yet. I think everyone's trying to make it too much like a regular convention, but an online situation is so different. And I kind of think we need to be focusing on what's different about the online experience and lean into that. But I also couldn't really tell you what that is. I don't necessarily have a plan in my head of how they should all go. I just think it's a tricky thing, and none of them have quite felt like actually attending a convention to me. But maybe that's just my own personal experience. There may be people who have attended the online conventions and really, really enjoyed them.
Yeah, I think the people who couldn't attend any convention physically, they might enjoy these online
Yeah,
conventions.
that's a really good point.
For me, I haven't attended any. I tried, but as you said that you work from home, I also work from home, and I really don't want to spend my weekend sitting in front of the computer if I can do something else.
Yes, yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, especially not in a convention. I can do some other stuff, but not sit at the computer for the whole weekend. It's just too
Right,
much.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
How has corona situation been where you live? It's now vaccination time, and have you been vaccinated already, or are you in line, or how is it going? What's the situation now in California?
Oof. It's not great here. So I'm in Los Angeles. It's a huge county. There's a ton of people here, and COVID has been very bad. We're in, I mean, after the holidays, it just really exploded here. We had like no hospital beds. I mean, we're in a rough spot. Yeah. And vaccinations have started to roll out to essential workers and healthcare workers. Right now, I am in the category of like the very last category that is set to receive anything. So I'm hoping I'll get my first round of vaccination over the summer, maybe by August.
Mm-hmm.
But I honestly don't know. But I know other people who have gotten theirs. People who I know who are considered essential workers or, like I said, working in healthcare or childcare are starting to get theirs. And so that's making me hopeful. I know eventually I'll get it. I just hope that it happens in a somewhat timely manner because I miss traveling so much.
Yeah.
I want to go visit my family. They live across the country from me. They're in Florida, and I had hoped that I could do that in January. But like I said, after the holidays, everything was we had such a surge in cases that I was like, I don't feel safe getting on a plane. I actually don't know, like, California started being like, if you leave, we might not let you back in, and I was like, I should just stay here. And so I'm really hoping there will be some marked improvement soon.
Actually,
yeah, it's rough here.
Vaccination schedule is similar here. That we who are last in line, we would get it at the end of the summer or so. The only thing I'm afraid is that they are now vaccinating the essential people in January and February, and it's half a year until the last people have been vaccinated. So basically, the essential workers have to get the new vaccination then already, because the corona probably has mutated at that point. So I'm just afraid that we will be in a constant loop of 2 vaccines a year. And
yeah, kind of like the flu shot.
Yes, kind of like that.
Yeah.
And that wouldn't be good. But let's hope the situation gets better.
Let's hope. It's so bizarre, isn't it? What a strange time in history that we are living through.
Yeah.
There's something, I mean, there's a lot to be sad about in the last year. There's a lot of sad things that have come with coronavirus. But one thing that is kind of, I don't know, I guess borderline uplifting, maybe it's a little bit uplifting in a way, is I think about how as a global community, we are all kind of experiencing this same thing. And it's connecting us all in a way. And I find that really, I guess interesting is maybe the best word for it. I don't want to say like, look at this good thing that came out of coronavirus. I don't want to go that far. Yeah. That might be overstretching. Yeah. But it's an interesting global connection that we all have now.
Yeah. And also it has brought people closer, easier together because of these technologies like Zoom and Google Meets and Skypes, and everything has been improved a lot. Because I remember when we were kicked out of the university that you have to work from home, we had a limit of 100 people in our Zooms. So when we tried to give lectures to 500 students, it was not possible. But those were fixed really quick. So it seems that these technology companies also put so much effort into making people easier to people to contact the other people, and you can do it across the globe. So basically it has brought the world closer together, but then again it has divided the people within same area so that they can't go close to each other. So it's a bit absurd situation, but interesting.
Yeah, exactly. It is. It's oh, yep.
But yeah, in 2020 there were other things also besides Corona.
It was a year.
Yeah, but they were not global situations. So
True, that's true.
they were more maybe continent-wide issues.
Yeah.
Especially you had some stuff there in the summer and
boy.
even in November and this January. And
yeah, it's been let me tell you what, it's been a mess here.
yeah. It's been really interesting to watch from outside, at least.
Yeah, it's a curious thing to think about how I view it as someone who is, an American citizen, and how it must look to people outside of us. It's too much.
It looks like bad reality TV, to be honest.
It's you know what? It feels that way to me too. Oh yeah, it's been
Maybe that
sure been something.
Yeah, I hope it gets better also.
I do too. Yeah, I think it will. I hope it will. I hope that this year has revealed that there are a lot of issues that I think we like to pretend don't exist, but I don't think we could ignore them this year because there was nothing else to think about. We were all stuck at home. And I hope that as we go forward, we take these growing pains and we don't just sweep them back under the rug again. I hope that we really take what will probably be messy and painful steps forward to ultimately get to a more fair and overall happier society. And I hope that we're in the middle of finding that here. I'm going to try and be optimistic about it and say that.
Yeah. I hope you're in the middle and not in the beginning, because it will last
Me
long.
too.
If you're still in the beginning, you've been doing so much processing. And at least it looks like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah. You have a divided country. I hope it gets back to being united soon, and
I
not
hope so
divided
too.
States of America. It should be United States of America.
I hope so too.
Yeah. You already said earlier that we are talking about change, but what do you think about change? Is it good thing, bad thing? Is it situational thing? How does it show? Is it different for an individual? Is it different for the whole globe? How about for societies? What do you think about change?
Gosh, I think change is necessary and inevitable, but I tell you what, I don't like it. I really like knowing what the thing is and what's expected of me and how it's going to go. And it's scary to change. As an individual, it is scary to change. I was speaking earlier about how I left my job to try and pursue board game content creation more full time. And that was a really scary thing. I was thinking about leaving that job for at least a year. And it was really because you know, even if you're like, I'm kind of unhappy in my current situation, you at least know how it's going to be and how it's going to feel. But when you make a change in the hopes of being happier, you don't know if it will work out or not. And what if you're just as unhappy? It's just slightly different. And I can find that personally to be almost paralyzing. But you really have to try, because if you don't try, then you'll definitely be stuck in a thing that makes you unhappy. But that doesn't make it easy. But I am almost always glad when I've made a change. You know, when I moved, I grew up in North Carolina, and I moved to Los Angeles almost exactly 11 years ago. This is the time of year where I tend to make big changes, I've realized. And that was huge and scary. And I thought, before I moved out here, I think a part of me felt like, well, I need to know, I need to pick it's really important the place I pick to move to, because that's it. That's the big choice. And then I realized, like, it doesn't have to be. You can always change again. I think that's the thing sometimes that holds me back from change, is feeling like the choice I'm making, the change I'm going to, is this big permanent thing, when actually it isn't. I was like, okay, well, you know what? I can actually move to Los Angeles, and if I don't like it, I don't have to stay there. And that, realizing that, really empowered me to go, okay, well, let's just try it. Let's just try it and see what happens. And if it doesn't work, I can always just try something else. And I think that's the thing I need to remember more.
That's actually a good point.
That change doesn't have to be permanent. Yeah, you can make another change. And I'm always amazed, too, when I look back and see how, if I look back in the past and even like changes that aren't conscious, and I go, wow, so much has changed in the last 2 years. Since I started making Things Get Dicey, for example. That wasn't necessarily, I wasn't looking for a change then, other than I just wanted to make something. But my life has fully changed since then. I now have a whole group of friends who are truly like my family that I would not have met if I had not started making Things Get Dicey. You know, that's how I met Kiki Amarito from Girls Game Shelf. That's how I met Nick and Mike Murphy that's how I met Matthew Jude. These are like my best friends. And I would never have met them if I hadn't started making Things Get Dicey. And it's amazing to think I didn't even know I was missing them, you know, because I didn't know them. I didn't know that I had these people who would become like my family, not in my life yet.
That's actually well said.
And it's kind of crazy when you think back, you know, and think about that. So I guess in general, what do I think about change? It's hard and I don't like it. But if things are bad, I think it's good to remember that it won't always be bad. Our situation will not always be this. This will change and grow, because things always do. Where I was 10 years ago in my life is nowhere near where I am right now. Where I was in my life a year ago is nowhere near where I am now. Who knows what my life is going to look like in another year? Who knows who I could meet, or what opportunities might open up, or how the world will shift and change in that time. And that's exciting, and I think also something hopefully that I can use to encourage myself if I'm feeling unsure or kind of down about something. It's like, it will not always be like this. Those are my thoughts on change.
Yeah, that's a good response. I think people are aiming to get stability, and if they have stability of some sort, it's difficult to get rid of it somehow.
Yes, that's so true.
But it's the human nature, so
yeah.
You said that you don't know where you will be a year from now. What do you think? How about the future? Where will you be? Or where would you want to be? What do you expect, or what do you want from the future? If you think next year or even further.
Goodness. Well, I hope next year I'm traveling again. I hope we have board game conventions again next year. I hope I'm seeing my friends. I hope that I am still making board game content, but maybe in a way that's a little more focused. I do a lot of different things right now, and I hope that this year I will use this time to really find, like, what are the things here that make me happy, what is making me feel creatively fulfilled, and what is also, honestly, because it is kind of my job now, what's giving me the best financial return.
Yeah.
You know, what can I do that makes me happy, but also is allowing me to sustain financially what I'm doing? And I hope that I'll have more answers to that in a year's time and be a little more streamlined. Because I do think right now I'm doing a few too many different things. And I think I will be a happier, less stressed out person if I can focus in a little bit. So I hope I'll be a little more focused in a year. I don't know, beyond that, who knows? I mean, I could talk in like metrics. I hope in a year I have 20,000 YouTube subscribers. I think I will. The channel's growing. I think I will. That's a weird thing to say out loud, but that would be cool.
Yeah.
What else? You know, I don't know. Yeah, maybe. Who knows? I'd like to be back to doing more acting work. But that kind of depends on how the world kind of recovers from the pandemic.
Yeah.
But I hope in a year I'm doing more of that. I hope I can be doing more theater or things like that again.
Yeah, let's hope that it's possible and allowed.
Yes. Yeah.
Did you begin anything this year? You said that in the beginning of years you begin. Did you begin something this year yet?
Oh, here in 2021?
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Well, this new, I kind of mentioned it earlier, but I'm going to start doing this playthrough series for Watch It Played.
If Rodney accepts them, right?
Yeah, and so, yeah, if people don't hate them, I'll keep doing them.
Yeah.
And that's a new thing for me. I've been also doing more streaming on Twitch on my personal channel. I just started streaming. I've been doing video games on my personal Twitch channel, but I just this year started doing board games on my personal Twitch channel and not just for Gen Con. And that's been a new thing that I've been really enjoying. So those are some of my new things. I've also kind of changed up how I'm doing Things Get Dicey in a way that I hope I'll like throughout the year. So in the past, I've done it in seasons. So I've been like, okay, for the next 4 months, I'm going to put out a Things Get Dicey episode every 2 weeks. And then I'm going to take 2 or 3 months off to rest because that really burns me out and then do it again. And I decided, you know what, this year I'm going to try and do it more consistently. And to make that happen, I'm going to put 1 episode out a month. And so that's kind of a new way to approach the way I'm making Things Get Dicey. And hopefully I'll like it. And hopefully the viewers will like it. People won't be like, why are you only doing this once a month? I'm like, because that's how I have the time.
Yeah. But also, if they know it, then it's fine. And then you don't burn yourself out. You don't need to have a 4-month break. But you can do every month one. And it's just consistent, and you can have 2 weeks holiday in between, and then 2 weeks do the episode, and 2 weeks have a holiday, and maybe it's better for you, maybe.
Yeah, I hope it will be. Yeah, just a little, because it gets a little it can get really overwhelming, and I think spreading it out, I do think will result in me having better content throughout the year. So those are kind of the new things I've started this year.
Yeah. But the content has been good, except that one scary clip was a bit strange. I don't know if it was scary or strange or funny or I don't know. But everything else has been good, at least.
I liked making that scary one, though. It was definitely different. We're like, let's just do a little, like, horror film, which was really fun to make. But it was definitely different. But that's something that's nice about Things Get Dicey is we do go, what if we try this? That's kind of weird. And then we kind of experiment and see what happens with it, which is fun to be able to do.
Yeah, that's true. Do you think you have changed in the last year?
Oh, yeah. I think so. Yeah. I have actually, I know I've been talking about feeling overscheduled and trying to find balance, but I do think in the last year I have gotten better already at knowing what to say yes to and what to say no to. There's plenty of room for more improvement, but I am proud of myself for, there have been some opportunities that have come my way that have gone, you know what? I know in my heart of hearts, I do not have time for this. I'm going to say no to that. Where in the past, maybe I would have been like, I'll just say yes and figure it out. I think also, I've changed and I really have sort of grown accustomed to this hermit kind of life. I miss going out and about, and I miss traveling, like I've said, and I miss my friends. But the way I've sort of adjusted, and I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but it is true. I remember when we first went into lockdown, and then I saw a friend for the first time where we got together in my backyard, and we were distanced, and we wore masks, and we did all of those things just to be like, let's just sit 6 feet apart from each other outside and hang out. And it was like I wanted to cry at just seeing a person's face in real life. and not just over a computer screen. And now I feel like if I see someone in person like that, I'm a little less like emotional about it. I've kind of gotten used to only seeing them on the computer. And now when I see them in real life, I'm like, yeah, cool. But I don't know how to, I'm not articulating very well, but there's a certain amount of adjustment I've done. I'm less like overstimulated by Skype calls all day long like I was at first. Maybe I've gotten numb. I feel like I'm giving the most depressing answer. It's like, yes, I've changed this year. I got numb.
Yeah, but at least that's honest, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it was really difficult in the beginning of we didn't have that tight lockdowns, but we were not supposed to see the elderly people. So basically meant that couldn't see my parents.
Oh,
and it was really difficult, especially for my daughter. And when she saw my mom 2 months after not seeing, they both cried, and it was really bad. And then the next time we saw my mom, she said that Corona is over for me. And since summer she hasn't been staying away, because she said that it's over for me. I can't bear. I'm not doing this.
Yeah.
So
there's a balance of needing to take care of yourself in a mental health way as well as in a physical health way, and kind of figuring out how you where that balance is for you as an individual. Yeah,
that's true. Do you have anything else to add for this 2020 part and change and your future and your changes?
Just, you know what, overall, I feel like I've been really lucky in the last year. So much of my work I was already doing from home, and I can do from home. There's a little part of me that is jealous of people who've been like, I have nothing to do, so I'm going to do this hobby that I've always wanted to try. I'm like, well, I don't have time. I'm incredibly busy. But at the same time, I know that that's really a blessing that I have continued to be able to work when so many people have struggled with that. And so overall in this whole situation, I've really been lucky. And I guess that's a sentiment that's worth expressing, I think. But I think that's it.
Yeah, that's actually good to remember, that no matter how bored you are at home and how bored you are doing distance work, not many people have that possibility. If you think globally, if you think locally, maybe it is common, but if you think globally, it's not really common.
Yeah.
That's true. So should we move on to our top 9 lists?
Yeah, let's talk board games.
Yeah, about time.
This is such an interesting conversation to have, though, and a really, honest one, and I really appreciate it. It felt nice, actually, to talk about all these things.
Yeah, it's like small therapy.
Yeah, exactly.
But
Thank you for being my therapist today.
Some people might listen. Not many, but some might.
Yeah.
So, yeah. You're not opening your heart to the whole world, just to maybe 100 people.
Well,
right.
Those 100 people, 100 people listening, you're important and we appreciate you.
Yeah, we do. Tell your friends also that we appreciate them also if they listen.
Spread the word.
Not sponsored by Restoration Games. Just to let you know that I now have Patreon. Yeah, I might have said that I will not create one, but I decided to make one anyway, not for the money but for the community mostly, because it's really difficult to reach you listeners somehow. So if you want to, go and take a look what you will get if you show me some patronage. The address is patreon.com/mitä pelataan. Thank you in advance for even considering to look at the Patreon page. It's much appreciated. But without further ado, on with the show, and let's see what kind of top 9 lists we've created this time. Anyway, so these top 9 lists, what was the topic for the list that you decided that we should have this
Yeah, I
week.
thought it would be fun to talk about the games that brought us into the hobby or that hooked us and keep us coming back into the hobby.
Mm-hmm.
What are the games that are the reason why we're here? So those are the top 9 that I chose.
Was it easy list for you to make?
Honestly, this actually really was an easy list for me to make. I just really thought back to like when I first started playing games, what are the ones that got me excited, that made me want to play more games? And it was really easy for me to think of all of those. Maybe because early in the hobby, I owned less games, so I played all of these games a lot more frequently than I play the games that I own now, if that makes sense, because I have so many more to choose from now.
Mm-hmm.
But then if it's like, well, I only own 20 games, so it's a lot easier to get the same ones to the table over and over again, and so they've stuck in my brain. What about you? Was it easy for you to make?
It was easy, but I'm trying not to use the same games in the lists that I've used earlier. So now I've made 14
yeah.
of these. So my numbers probably 3 from my top 5, 4 from my top 5 dropped. So I can't include Battlestar Galactica, Arkham Horror, Hanabi, or this Exit and Unlock series. They would have been at the very top. But yeah.
You're like, but I've already talked about those games.
Yeah. But I have to stop resisting, trying not to use the games, because at some point I will have a bad list. Like the previous episode, I had a bad list. But the team...
Oh no!
But it wasn't because of this restriction. I didn't restrict myself last episode, because I would have had only 6 games that I have played. But that would have been difficult. Different team. How did you rank your list?
So it's kind of in order of, this sort of happened incidentally, but I realized in how I really wrote them down in the order that I just thought of them.
Mm-hmm.
And then I realized as I was looking at them that we were sort of talking about this earlier, but it's in order of kind of I was introduced to them in the hobby.
Mm-hmm.
Because the first one on my list is definitely the first hobby game I played that made me go, oh, this is board games. I want to keep doing this. Yeah. So that's kind of the order.
I also ranked mine so that I have the oldest first. Oldest is number 9 and the newest is number 1. And this is the the time when I played them, not when they were published. And my number 3 is in 2 occasions because it reignited the light a bit later. But I was playing it earlier already.
Right.
Quite a lot. So this is kind of a time frame of 25 years, it seems. So it's a very long time ago because I listed some old games.
Nice. Oh, I can't wait to hear your list. I'm so interested now. I mean, I was interested before. That sounds like I wasn't interested before. I was.
Yeah.
I'm even more.
Yeah. But we've had this kind of a habit here that whoever is the guest can announce the numbers. And we go 998877 and we begin from you. So you get to be the announcer.
Right.
You can be Eric Summerer or whoever is your favorite announcer.
I'll do my best, Eric Summerer. Number 9. Does that sound like him at all? Probably not.
It's quite good. But you can improvise. You haven't done improv for a while, so now you can do.
That's true. I'm rusty.
Yeah. But do you have any honorable mentions before we go to the list?
Oh, you know what? I don't have any honorable mentions. I can't believe I didn't even think of any.
I only have those.
I don't have any.
Yeah, I have only those ones that I listed plus chess, but I think that chess is not a board game enough. Maybe.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess, you know what? I guess an honorable mention for me would probably be like Clue. Because that's a game I played a lot as a kid. It was my favorite game growing up. And my love for that has really informed the kind of games I find myself liking even now. Which is a lot of, not everything, but a lot of narrative-heavy games. And not necessarily that Clue has this deep narrative, but as a kid, I kind of put one on it. And I like to act out this murder mystery story.
Yeah.
And so that is a lot of, I'm still kind of always chasing the feeling that Clue gave me as a kid, but as an adult who wants a deeper, more strategic game experience. So that would be my honorable mention.
I have never actually played Clue. I've been avoiding that.
It's, there are better games. Just play Awkward Guests now, or even like Cryptid, or maybe like Search for Planet X, which I haven't played, but I hear it's like Clue. Just play something like that. You'll probably... Because Clue's roll and move.
I'll probably play it anyway soon, because I have to introduce the daughter to those kinds of games also. But
yeah.
I'm going to say that we had better quality and more variety games here in Finland when I was growing up, so I had lots of games to choose from.
That's probably very true.
Yeah, because we have very, very strong gaming culture here. There was just a while ago this gaming kind of a survey done for Finnish people, and if I remember right, it was over 90% of Finnish people who replied had played something. So that's a huge amount. It also includes these video games and such, but it's really, really big number because it's from the whole population, I think.
Wow.
If I remember right.
Yeah. That's cool. Yeah, you probably did have better. I totally believe that you had better games to choose from growing up than I did.
No, I meant that we didn't have to go for these market games only. That we had good market games here. I mean, good games in the market. We didn't have to go to hobby stores when I was growing up.
Yeah. That's cool.
All right. So let's get to the list.
We should say what these are. Yeah. All right. So first up is our number 9 pick. And mine is a game that I've spoken about in many other places. So if you've ever heard me talk about games that got me into the hobby before, you've heard me talk about this game, but I have to say it again. And that's Betrayal at House on the Hill. When you talk about a game that feels kind of like Clue, you are characters moving through a house, going through different rooms, discovering a mystery, and then at some point, one of you turns against the others, and you have like that, like in the middle of the game, a hidden traitor basically is revealed, and you have to deal with that. It's got so much atmosphere. It's got a story. Man, when I played this for the first time, I had the best. It's probably the best time I've ever had playing Betrayal, because the game is also, I think, deeply flawed. But man, I loved it, and I went, if games are like this, I want more of this. This is everything I want. And I don't really play it much now because, again, as I've played it more, I've kind of realized, like, it's kind of broken. It's just really random. It's so swingy. You're either going to have an amazing time playing it, or you're going to be like, this makes no sense, and it's not fair, and it's unbalanced, and it's not that good. So you're going to have one of the two experiences, and it's probably worth playing just because you might have that really great experience. But I often now, I would probably choose something else to play myself. But if someone else wanted to play it, I'd be like, you know what? Yeah, I'll play Betrayal. So that's my number 9.
I have never played this, but I'm interested in the Legacy version and also the Betrayal at Baldur's Gate, because I like this Baldur's Gate and Forgotten Realms universe.
I've played the first 4 chapters of the Legacy version, and it is better. I would recommend the Legacy version. It still has some really random swinginess, but it's pretty fun. So if you get a chance to try the Legacy version, I would definitely say go for it.
Okay. But you have to know that it's swingy when you go into the game. I think
you
then
need
it's fine.
to know. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. My number 9 is this was a big game. I think it was bigger in Europe than it was in USA. This one I played in 1991. I listed the year when I was playing this. I was thinking, would I choose this or Hero Quest? But I think Space Crusade was more important for me.
And I'm not familiar with this one.
This is like Space Hulk, but it's it's the European version, I think, somehow. It's by
I love Space Hulk.
Yeah, it's by Milton Bradley, and this had, I mean, I was comparing this or Hero Quest because I played them about the same time, but this had Marines, and this had this huge Destructor miniature that you were able to switch the guns, and also to the Marines you were able to switch the guns that they have, and whatever gun they carried, that's what dice they rolled, and this was really cool. And this had hidden movement, so you had this tiles on the map, and they were hiddenly moved by the player who played the alien side, and then you flip them open, and then they attack you, and you just see them on the radar. So this was very
totally.
well done.
It is Space Hulk. I love Space Hulk. What a great choice. I love this game.
Yeah, except that Space Hulk is just Gene Stealers. This has other monsters also. This has different...
Oh, cool.
This is like a symbiosis between Space Hulk and HeroQuest, and this is Space Crusade.
Okay.
This is a...
Oh, it sounds great.
I would still get it if I was able to get it for some kind of a normal price. I'm not crazy enough to pay them prices.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, but if you ever get to try this, I think you like this kind of thematic games. If I've understood right, you might like this, and this is good one.
Oh, yeah, it sounds really cool. It sounds a lot like something I would like for sure.
Yeah. But my number 9 was Space Crusade.
Cool. All right, shall we move on to our number 8?
Yep.
Eric Summer is going to hear this and hate me.
Let's see if he listens. He listens to your show at least. I'm just in the middle of the Dutch episode, by the way. I noticed that I hadn't listened to that, and it's quite cool.
Oh, good.
Anyway, he was talking about it in Twitter just yesterday or the day before.
Oh, yeah. All right, my number 8 is Forbidden Island.
Mm-hmm.
So after playing Betrayal, this is like the next game after that I played with my partner and some of his friends. One of his friends brought it over to like a New Year's Eve. Mm-hmm. It was my first time playing a cooperative game. And, man, we played it so much. I think we played it like, we had gone away for like a weekend for like the New Year's Eve. And I think we played it like 3 times over the weekend. And we came away from that. And it was the first game that I went to my partner and was like, I think we should buy this. Mm-hmm. This game that one of our friends owns. I really liked it. And I think we should also have a copy so that we can play it. And so that's why that's like kind of formative for me, is I was like, oh yeah, we should add to our collection. It was the first thing I wanted to start adding to our collection. And since then, we kind of played it out a little bit. I think once you kind of get the puzzle of it, you kind of know what to do. But man, it's such a great, it has these great little pieces, you know, like the artifacts you're trying to gather as you're playing Forbidden Island before the island sinks, and you know you need to get away on the helicopter. The little like figures it comes with, you have this like cool like crystal flame and a goblet and a little sphinx thing, and they're just there for, there's no real reason to have them, but they are neat. And I like that. I was charmed by that, and I like cooperative games a lot, especially if I'm in a 2-player situation, because 2-player head-to-head games, a lot of times I can get kind of personally offended, which isn't good. But if you're a 2-player game and you're working together, you avoid that. But we've since passed this on. I gave our copy of this to my niece and nephew, mm-hmm. who have been getting into games. And I was like, this is so great because they can play it with their parents. Everyone can love it. You know, it's simple enough that they can, you know, make some of the decisions. And if there's decisions that they can't make, it's a cooperative game. So their parents can very easily help them make the decisions. And so I very happily passed that game on to my niece and nephew pretty recently. Mm-hmm. But yeah, my number 8, Forbidden Island.
Now, this is a good game for beginners, mm-hmm. so to say.
Yeah.
And well done by giving it away.
Thank you.
It goes to, no, I mean that it goes to good use.
Yeah. Well, we just went, you know, we aren't really playing this anymore, and I really think my niece and nephew would like this. We should pass it on. We don't need to hold on to this, you know? We could graduate to Forbidden Desert if we want, though that game is hard.
It's also a bit better game in my opinion. This is a bit too simplistic.
It's deeper. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I also have it on the shelf, waiting for the daughter to be old enough to be able to play this. Maybe we try it soon. But it had this roll cards, and that might be a bit difficult still. But let's see.
That's true. Because you have your own special little power as an individual, yeah.
Yeah, but I'll probably try it this year.
Yeah.
It's a good pick. Good pick.
Thank you. Thank you.
My number 8 is now we're at the year 1995. There were other games in between, but I'm listing these important ones for me, and this is Magic the Gathering. And I played this about 2 years, from the 4th edition until 5th edition or Alliance. Something a bit after Alliance I quit because I just didn't have time. And I moved to the game that is my next one on the list. But I had really that kind of cards that I should have saved, and now I would be able to buy something proper with those.
Oh yeah, you could sell them for real good, for lots of money.
Yeah, I had lots of.
I love Magic.
Yeah, I had lots of dual lands and these mana drains and everything from those old cards, and they were in great condition. But I sold all of them when I quit. So if I had forgotten to sell them, I would be at least 1,000-naire, not maybe a million, but 1,000-naire currently.
1,000-naire.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is really interesting. I tried fairly early in my gaming hobby. My partner was like, "Hey, let's try Magic." He grew up playing it. And he thought I might like it, and we went and got me like a little starter deck from our game store, one that they kind of put together for you. And it was just a little early in my hobby experience for me. I had a hard time kind of wrapping my brain around how attacking and defending worked, and I sort of bounced off it a little. I kind of wanted to like it, but it never quite, I just didn't get it. And then just like 2 years ago, maybe, I think it was about 2 years ago, maybe a year and a half ago, we tried again. Throne of Eldraine came out. And so for my birthday, my partner got me some decks from that, and I fell in love with it. I was like, this art is beautiful. Everything's so cool. I really love it. And I found that I could hang with the mechanisms of the game so much better now because I'm so much more experienced in all kinds of gaming now than I was before. And I really love it. We play it a fair amount now. We have way too many cards. So yeah, it's one that didn't hook me into the hobby, but the hobby hooked me into it, I think, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a great pick.
I actually didn't play this for maybe, wait, now I have to count the years. Maybe 20 years or so, but in 2019 summer I played it with a guy who has almost everything, because he just buys all of it. And we played these ready-made decks. And that's a good way to play. I really like this game still. I like the mechanisms. I like how it works. I like how snappy it can be. I also like how painfully slow it can be if you play against blue or or some other types of decks. I really like how it works, but I will never ever want to get back to this collecting aspect and creating decks. But with the pre-made decks or with commander decks, I will definitely want to play. But I'm not going to buy this game. But if someone asks, I will play. I like this game still.
Right. You're like, hand me a deck? Sure, I'll play with it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the way.
All right. Well, should we move on to our number 7?
All right. That didn't sound like Eric, by the way.
Impressions are not my strong suit. But that's okay. My number 7 is Quarriors. So Quarriors is like a deck builder, but it's like a bag builder, I guess. You have dice instead of cards, and you are adding every turn. You're rolling dice from your dice pool and using the faces that come up on the dice to either play out monsters. It's actually kind of a lot like Magic. Play out monsters or attack your other player, or use the dice to spend mana to buy new dice that you then add to your dice pool. And I really love this game. This is another one that a friend owned, and every time we had a game night, I'd be like, can we play Quarriors? I really want to play Quarriors. And then eventually I was like, should we just own Quarriors? And man, I really love the action of rolling dice. Now, the problem is I have objectively bad dice luck. I will roll a high number if I need a low number, and I'll roll a low number if I need a high number. Dice hate me. But in a game like this, where you get something no matter kind of like what comes up on your die face, I really like that. I like rolling the dice. I like seeing what I get. It has that deck builder thing like Dominion where you can like chain, you can, build your engine, chain different actions in your turn, and suddenly you've taken this really big turn. I like it a lot. It's kind of a classic game that, again, I don't play as much as I used to, but it really like hooked me into this style of game and helped me, I think, start to understand the way like deck builders work. So that's why I chose Quarriors.
That's a great game, and also it's unfortunately people don't seem to remember that it exists. But
I know. I never hear anyone talk about it anymore.
But they made a reprint, I think, for all of the stuff, so maybe it will come back. I think I've seen it in shops nowadays. I have almost everything for it. Not the light versus dark, but everything else I think nice. I have. And it's a great game. I should play it more. Do you like it multiplayer or two-player more? What's your favorite player count?
I've played it mostly two-player because I've played most of my games mostly two-player because I am most often playing with my partner. But I do think it's probably more fun with 3 or 4. But I like it at 2 as well. I have no problem playing it at 2.
Yeah, because I think it might be best with 2. I was going to ask your opinion. Because I've played it with 2 and I've played it with 4. But I think it might be best with 3 or 2, not 4. I'm not playing with 4
Yeah,
anymore.
You know what? That's a good point. But you have to wait. It's so many turns to have to come back around to you and your monster to be able to attack.
Yes.
Like, it needs to make it all the way back to your turn.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of people to get through. So, yeah, 4, you're right. 4 is probably pushing it.
That was exactly the problem with it, because your monster never stays until your next turn. Yeah. Never. And that was a bit of a problem.
You're like, well, that's frustrating.
Yeah. 2 or 3 might be the best, I think. Good pick. Good that it's picked by someone in this series, so it gets some visibility. My number 7 is the game that I moved on from Magic the Gathering on 1997 and 98, and this is a combined one of Warhammer, Fantasy Battles and 40k. I began with 40k. I liked it. I had Tyrannid army and I never lost a game in that, so I moved into Fantasy Battles trying to lose games on that, and then I was able to lose some games.
I was too good at Warhammer.
No, I thought that, I don't know. It's up to the dice, of course, but I had a Tyrannid army, and Tyrannids were very, very strong at that point when I was playing. And all my friends had Marines, because there were not that many different armies. I even tried to get a Space Wolf army. I played only one match with that. I won that too, and I thought that no, I don't want this, because Fantasy Battles are thematically more interesting, and there you move with a big unit, so you have to maneuver the unit, and as a I don't know if you've played it or if you've seen it. It's on a tray. You have a tray of miniatures, and then you move the tray, and in 40k you move them one by one, so it's like a skirmish game, and the other one is like a huge battle game, and I like the fantasy one more. So that one I was playing 2 years, as often as possible. Nice. And I was painting the miniatures. I still have some painted miniatures left, and now maybe 5 years ago I bought some paints, but then I didn't have space to paint in. And
yeah, that's the problem. That takes up a lot of room.
Yeah, but the paints are unopened, so maybe they are still fine.
Oh, yeah. Hopefully so. Yeah. You can still use them. I recently got into painting miniatures, and my partner's really into it. He's really good at it, and he paints quite a bit, but I like to do it just kind of sometimes as a hobby, and I've really enjoyed it. I'm surprised, actually. I feel like it's really accessible. Like, I think, well, maybe not from a cost standpoint, but from a skill standpoint. At first I thought, well, I won't be good at this. It's small. It's going to be tedious. I'm not very good at painting. Like, I'm not going to be good at this. But I think actually it's not that hard to get something that looks decent.
Yeah.
You know, like if you have a base color and then you do like a wash, like you're like well on your way to something that looks pretty good. And so I was really like, wow, cool. I actually can feel like I'm good at this. And
Yeah.
I wish anyone who thinks they might want to try painting but thinks they won't be good at it will hear that and maybe give it a try, because I think you'll be better at it than you think, especially with a little practice.
Yeah.
I really like it, yeah.
Yeah, and it's really relaxing.
Yeah.
You only need a few colors if you want to mix white with other colors to change the hue a bit. You just need the basic colors basically if you want to get cheap. But you need 2 brushes. You need one very thin brush, like a 0, maximum 0, and then you need one a bit bigger one if you want to do dry brushing. Then you're done. You don't need anything else.
Yeah.
That's all. Of course, a spray primer, but everything is better looking than these miniatures that come in the boxes. That's just the plastic.
Yeah.
Even the surface is better after spray painting them, so that's better. I mean, putting the primer on, not with this kind of emerald spray paints. That doesn't look good. Don't do that.
Yeah. Oh, that's a great choice. I feel like we have some tastes in common. I'm enjoying hearing your list. Everything so far I've been like, oh yeah, that is good.
This is 20 years ago. It will change.
Your taste has changed. You're like, this is what I used to like. I'm like, oh, well, this is what I currently like.
Yeah.
That's great, though.
All right.
Cool. All right. How about number 6? My number 6 is Tales of Arabian Nights.
Ooh, this is underappreciated.
I love. I first got interested in this game because Shut Up and Sit Down did a review of it, and it made it just seem, they have a knack for anything they like, they make seem so fun because they have this infectious enthusiasm about what they're talking about. And it just seemed like it was going to hit all the right notes for me. It's story focused, it's choose your own adventure, it's, you know, I was like, yeah, I am in. And I love this game. It helped hook me into the hobby, but I would still call this like maybe one of my top 3 games. And you know, I know some people who would say it's not really much of a game, and I hear those people because you can't really have a strategy. I played this once with someone who really likes to win, and they could not handle the fact that they had very little control over whether or not they were winning or losing.
But come on, you can choose your goal in the beginning of the game.
Yeah, I was like, you know, you have to just play this one for the experience, because you're going to have skills and you're going to think you're going to get a passage that's like, you come up on some lions in the desert. And you're like, ooh, I have wilderness lore. This'll help me. No. Sure doesn't help you at all. And you're like, why? Who knows? It's so random. But it is hilarious. I think you get fun, interesting, ridiculous stories out of it. It is a game that when I play, I genuinely do not care if I win or lose, because it's not about that. It's about creating a story. And I love that. And this game, when I was introduced to it, I saw like, oh, there are games that can be focused just on this story experience and this role-playing experience. And I love it. I love this game. Yeah, I really do. I think its sweet spot for player count is 3.
Exactly.
Because any more than that, it kind of drags down. And in the game, someone is taking a turn, someone is reading the story to them out of the book, and someone is looking at a little reaction matrix to know like, oh, this is what you're reacting to. This is your reaction choice. Okay, this is the passage that needs to be read. So with 3 players, you're doing something on every turn. I would also say I never play to the full victory points. Like the game says you need to get to 20 points. I never do that. It's too long. I always play to 10. But That's just my personal house rule.
You speak the truth. There's nothing else to add except that don't you choose your destiny in the beginning, that you choose what amount of what points you will get at the end of the game and then you will win.
Yes.
I think
You
so.
choose, you go, okay, I need destiny points and story points, and it can be any combination of to a certain total. So you can be like, I want 8 story points and 2 destiny points to get to 10. And once I've done that, then I can go back to Baghdad and win the game. So you do choose that.
No.
Yeah.
And that's the most meaningful decision in the game.
That is absolutely true.
But yeah, it's a great passing of time, let's say. It's
an
don't
experience.
try to win. If you go there trying to win, turn around before you sit to that table. Just go there and have fun. And perfect with 3. Great game. Great pick.
Yeah, so that's my number 7.
Wasn't it 6?
Oh, sorry. That's my number 6. You're sure right. Sure was 6. My apologies. That's my number 6.
No worries. My number 6 is the game where I moved from Warhammer. And this is Blood Bowl.
Oh, yeah.
This is fantastic. And this was now 1999, I think, that we were playing this. Maybe a bit earlier, maybe 98 already. We had a group, and all of us bought a team, and we made a league. I mean, there were not many people or friends or people playing from Warhammer, but all of us from Warhammer bought teams in Blood Bowl, and we played this third edition, I think. And this was fantastic. I got the expansion, and we had the tournament rules, and you get to buy cheerleaders and everything, and then you advance and you get skills, and I mean this was really good. And now this might sound like bragging, but my wood elves never lost a game, and I still have the sheet. I mean the tournament sheet, and they've never lost one draw against night elves, but I never lost one.
Nice.
But with my humans I did lose, but with the wood elves no, they were just too fast.
The wood elves are the team to play with. It sounds like.
Yeah, they were too fast, and I had a one 3-man in the middle. Actually, that 3-man was chopped to firewood in one match, but anyway.
Oh no.
But that was
I
great.
really love miniatures games like this, and I haven't played Blood Bowl, but we looked into it a little, and I was like, I want to start getting into some like miniatures based games, and we ended up kind of going with Frostgrave, which is not like Blood Bowl, but it's a minis game, obviously. There's something so interesting about having your figures and like putting them on the map. I guess it comes down to the thing I keep saying that I like, which is, if I have a little mini, I can like be like, this is a character, and I can put a story on this character, and that's obviously something I really like in my gaming. So.
It also worked very well in Blood Bowl, that you can put the character because you have that team, and you have to name the teams when you play this season or tournaments. You put names to the players, and then they gain skills and they gain injuries, or they get some kind of, so they get like, it's like a legacy game when you play the season. And I really liked it. Actually, this might be one of the first legacy games, although it's not called legacy game. But still,
I guess it's like kind of like a campaign, but it has those running things that hold over from game to game. Yeah, it's really interesting.
Yeah, but in a way also legacy, because you change the state, you might change the stadiums, and if someone dies, they die. If someone gets injured, they injured. So maybe campaign, but also elements of legacy games. This is actually, I never thought about it before I now talked. And it's also easy because you have your team and you paint that team, and that's it. You don't have to paint 5 million figures to be allowed to tournaments. That's just
it's not
ridiculous.
Like 40K or something. You need this huge team of people. You're like, okay, I've got my one team, and that's it. Yeah,
that's true. But anyway, my number 6 was Blood Bowl, and especially 3rd edition with the Death Zone and season rules.
Cool. All right, how about we move on to number 5? I've let go of Eric Summer now. I'm just trying to be enthusiastic sounding. So my number 5 is The Resistance. this is one of the first, other than like Mafia or Werewolf, which I had played before with just like a regular deck of cards. This was my first real like social deduction game that I played that had a little more structure to it than just, let's just randomly talk and decide who we want to vote out for whatever reason we feel like. Because, you know, this when you go on missions and you choose who's going to go on the missions, and they play in cards for pass or fail. And so you have a little bit to go on like, well, someone in this group must be a traitor because a fail card got played. And I have these really good memories of playing this game with my cousins at a Thanksgiving weekend. And we just like had such a good time accusing each other constantly. And then it just bled over into, we weren't even playing the game anymore. We just were like fixing dinner, and we'd start like accusing each other of being a traitor. And I just have such good memories from that. And I think it's a nice way to get people who maybe aren't normally, they're not going to sit down to a game of like, I don't know, Castles of Burgundy or something. But you might be able to get them to sit down to a game like this, and they feel engaged, they have some direction, they have some interaction, you get a fun like story out of it. Like here I am talking about a Thanksgiving weekend from, 8 years ago, and I still have all these memories because of the game Resistance. Now, I don't play it a ton now. I have other social deduction games I would prefer to play instead. I really like Don't Mess with Cthulhu. I really love The Chameleon, stuff like that. But this one is definitely one that like got me hooked on the idea of a social deduction game. So yeah, The Resistance is my number 5.
I actually forgot this. This could have been a bit higher on the list, but I'll mention it later. Do you like the normal Resistance or the Avalon one? No.
I've only played the normal one, so I'll say that one. But I like the theme of the Avalon one because I like King Arthur stuff, so I'd probably enjoy that as well. But I kind of was like, well, I already have the regular one. I don't know that it's different enough that I feel the need to play both, but yeah. So I've never played the Avalon one, but I'd probably also like it.
The Avalon one adds the roles. If I remember, I haven't played the normal Resistance. I've only played the Avalon.
Oh, yeah, because there's like Merlin and they're different roles. You're right. That probably would be fun.
Yeah, at least I think that I wouldn't enjoy Resistance, but I do enjoy Avalon. I haven't played it for many years. I have it, but I haven't played it. But yeah, a bit similar opinions than you. But I get back to it later now that I wrote it down because I forgot it seems. My number 5 is the first game that I remember buying when I got back to the hobby in 2009. So I had a 10-year break or so, like not really considering this as a hobby. And this is Portobello Market. It's from 2007, and I don't think many people playing currently have played it. It's not very good.
I'm not familiar with this one.
It's not very good game. I've rated it 5, but at that time it was like, wow, is this a game? There's no dice. Come on. You're trying to fill these roads. You put your workers here and you build some kind of market stalls. What is this? This is great. It's not that great, but at that point it was great, and that made me buy Carcassonne, Pandemic, Stone Age, Alhambra, all these games. It made me go to that same market. We had one market called Anttila, and they had this. It was the best board game shop in the city I live in, because we didn't have a specialized shop. We had specialized shop, but they had two specialized stuff. But this Anttila had this kind of a. I don't want to use gateway. I don't like that term, but like welcoming games, like they're saying in Dice Tower, or these introductory games that suit everyone. This kind of Spiel des Jahres weight, and they had everything there. They had Finnish translations, because we have this lautapelit.fi here in this country, and they are translating lots of games. So they had this Portobello Market, Oregon, Dominion, Ticket to Rides, Fincha, and all these games. They came in Finnish, and they were in the market because they came in Finnish. And they had every Christmas buy 3 games or toys, buy 3, get 1 free. So if you buy 3, you get 1 free. And then they sent these coupons that if you buy for €50, you get €10 discount. If you buy with €100, you get €20 discount. So I went there to calculate that how will I maximize those discounts, because I was a student at the time. I went there, okay, I can get this, and this, and this. And I ended up getting lots of these kind of bookshelf-size Euro games like Turman Taxis and such. And I think I still have Stone Age Mallorca being Fincha, Oregon, and Pandemic Carcassonne and Ticket to Ride Europe left from that time. I think I sold everything else. And Pandemic will go soon because it's boring already. But anyway, this is the first game I bought. The first game I played, and it's the first game I have tracked a play in Board Game Geek, because I found Board Game Geek quite soon after getting this game. So that's why it has to be on this list, and that is Portobello Market.
Yeah, definitely. Sounds like it inspired you to like get involved in the hobby. If you're, logging it on Board Game Geek and it's making you want to play other games like it that you realize that you love more, but this was the one that opened that door for you. Absolutely. It's got to be on the list.
Yeah, it made me find Board Game Geek, let's say that way, in 2009, beginning of 2009. So that's why.
That's cool.
It's here.
Awesome. All right. How about we move on to our number 4? I said that kind of aggressively. Number 4. My number 4, I realized, has a lot of 4 in it. This is a coincidence, but my number 4 is Memoir 44, which is it's a 2-player game, which is very important in my life because I play most games with just me and my partner. And it was the first game. It was pretty early on that we got it in our collection, and it was the first game that made me start thinking about war games. And we can argue all day long whether or not it counts as a war game, but it is, you have cards that you play that tell you how you can maneuver your troops. You have dice you roll. You have a scenario, that is replicating a historical battle. And I really love this game. We have a bunch of the expansions for it. So we have a ton of different theaters of war for Memoir 44. And it's got, the dice rolling, which I like, although you roll for success here and I often roll fails. But it's such a nice entry into this style of game, this 2-player kind of head-to-head combat, because you have cards telling you what to do, and I would say it's easy to keep track of things, but actually all the terrain rules, it can be kind of a lot. I'm always having to reference the little player aid to be like, now wait, what does it mean when I stand on a hill? But there's just something about, I just really like this game, and from there it made me go, well, I wonder if I can enjoy other games that are sort of like this kind of 2-player war-ish kind of game, which we'll see a little more of later on my list. But yeah, Memoir 44 is my number 4.
This is a good pick. I think this Richard Borg's system is very easy to approach. So it's very, very approachable for people who haven't played games yet. And I'm not sure if it's a war game, but it's a game where the theme is war. And at least it's a battle. And I haven't played this actually. I've watched 2 games. One with this Overlord mode that one is giving the commands to others and the others are doing it. That was very interesting to watch. And then another game, but I've played this Battle Lore 2nd edition, which is basically the same, but
basically
hidden
the same
placement.
thing,
And I liked it. It's a good game. Good pick.
Yeah, we have Battle Lore as well. I like that one because I was like, I really like fantasy theme. So my partner was like, why don't we get Battle Lore too? If you like Memoir 44, you'll probably like that.
Yeah.
We get more Memoir 44 to the table more. But Battle Lore is interesting because it does add that hidden troop deployment, which you don't have in Memoir 44 and some other things. But yeah, it's a pretty approachable game system, and it sparked my interest in deeper war type games, I would say. Or historical games, maybe.
Yeah. The hidden deployment is really cool and well done in the battle lore and very easily implemented, but it works very well. I agree. We're at number 4, and my number 4 is the first. I consider this the first hobby game that I bought and played, and this is Agricola. And I fully blame Board Game Geek for this, because this was number 1 or it was very high on the list. I think I got this before Puerto Rico, but they were at the top of the list at that time. And I still have this original first edition, I think, or maybe it's second edition.
Wow.
But very old version with this expansion inside. And I have not played the revised edition, and I don't think I will play the revised edition, because this old school one is good. This doesn't even have any meeples, it has cubes. I have cube sheep. This is that old edition. And I just thought that, okay, this kind of a game that this is, what is this? Come on, I've played this. Okay, I've played lots of games before this, but this was something that blew my mind, that so big decision space and so tight, and you get punished, and you need to do everything to be able to manage well in the game. And I really, this was the first experience I had on that, and it was like, wow. And this is still on my top 90 games of all time because of the
I've
tightness.
never played this. I've never played Agricola. It's such a classic, and I know so many people who love it, and I've still not ever quite gotten to it.
Yeah. People say that Caverna is better, but I think Caverna is too loose. I like Agricola more because it's more restricted and it can be more mean. In Caverna you can just... Agricola is like going on a very dangerous track, trekking to the mountainside, and Caverna is walking at the bottom of the mountain and looking up that, oh, there they are walking. So basically it's like that, but Caverna is also good. But yeah, my number 4 is Agricola.
Nice. Okay, how about we do number 3? My number 3 is a game that was my favorite game for a long time. And I would still count it pretty up there. I don't know if I would have it in my top 10 these days. I don't know. I'd have to sit down and actually make my top 10 favorite games of all time to know. But it's Castles of Mad King Ludwig. Mm-hmm. This is the first game I played where I think I went, this is my favorite game. Which is why it had to be on the list, because it introduced the idea to me of favorite games, I guess. And I think it's because it's got that puzzle aspect of like a Euro game, where you're pulling tiles, you're placing tiles, you're trying to build out a castle, which is a theme that I think is really fun. Your castle is a ridiculous thing. If you really look at it at the end, you're like, what have I made? You walk through a garden and then you get to a cheese room that then opens up into the entertainment chamber, and then there's a bedroom there, and then that has some stairs that take you down into a dungeon. It makes no sense. And I just find that very charming. And then you're trying to match things together to maximize your points that you're earning from all the tiles that you're placing. And I think the bidding, when you pull out new room tiles, there's a little market that they go into, and when you're the master builder, first player, you get to arrange the tiles in the cost you think they should be. And the other players are going to pay you for the tiles that they buy that turn. And there's this really tricky puzzle of, I want to put this tile that I want to buy this turn here so I can afford it, but I don't want anyone else to buy it. But I also know that they're looking for a bedroom, and the bedroom's out here, and I want to price it just high enough that they can afford it, but that I get the money, or I know they really want this and I don't want them to have it, so I'm going to make it cost more than the money that they have. I'm horrible at the bidding part, but it's a really interesting puzzle, and I just really loved this game, and I still really like this game. I think it's a lot like Suburbia, but I personally prefer castles over suburbia, and then it just comes down to theme. I think building a castle is more interesting to me thematically. So yeah, my number 3 is Castles of Mad King Ludwig.
Are you going to back, or did you back the collector's edition?
And I don't think I'm going to. It looks nice, and it would be nice to have like prettier tiles that are bigger. That's very appealing to me, but I can't justify it, I don't think. I like the copy of the game that I have. And we have a couple of the expansions, but I don't really play with the expansions. I really like the game as is. And I was like, well, I don't need this big box version that has like a bunch of extra stuff in it that I'm not going to use. I talked myself out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not going to get it either. I got the one for Suburbia, but then again, Suburbia, I think the expansions make it a better game than Castles of Mad King Ludwig is. But comparing just the base games, I don't know which one is better. But if you compare
They're
it
so similar.
with the expansions, I think Suburbia is better.
Yeah.
But yeah, Castles
Fair.
of Mad King Ludwig is good.
Yeah.
What's your preferred player count?
Oh, see, this, I almost always play this at 2. And again, that's not necessarily down to a preference and more of just like most of my games I'm playing at 2-player because I'm mostly just playing with my partner. I've played it at 3, I think twice. And that was interesting. It definitely makes the bidding, it's a little more meaningful, the like setting the price of things because it's more than just you and one other person.
Yeah.
But I haven't played it enough at more than 2 people to know if I prefer it at any other player count.
Yeah, don't try it with more than 3. I think it's 2
So
or
does
3.
this bog down?
Yeah, the auction becomes too long for what it is.
Yeah.
Because you have whoever has to decide the prices, he or she has to decide for all the other players. So there are so many other things to consider. And no, don't try it. It's 2 or 3 2 or 3 player. 2 player is good, 3 player is good. It just depends on the players. Yeah.
But I like it at 2. I play it the most at 2, so yeah.
Yeah, I like it at 2 also. It's good. My number 3 should be on the spot 5, no, on the 4th spot on this list if it goes by the year, but because this in a way brought me back to the hobby again after a break, because I have these breaks in certain situations. Now we are at year 2014, so this is after I graduated from the university and after I began working there, and this is Dominion. And this already...
Oh, yes, of course, yeah.
This already was really interesting in 2009 when I played it, but after 5 years, I mean, I had a 5-year break in Dominion. Then in 2014, I played it quite a lot with the current wife, and we liked it so much in 2 players. We played just game after game, and then we played it with the friends also, and it was one of the first games that she played, so... It's really, in a way, it brought me back, and then I went into this swamp and I found Kickstarter after that because I thought, there are other places for board games than Board Game Geek.
Yeah.
There's this Kickstarter, and that's where the downhill with that began. But now 2 years I have tried to not look any games in Kickstarter because it's different.
Right, yeah.
Dangerous place.
It is. Yeah, Dominion holds up so well.
Yeah.
We have this, and it's another one that we got very early in our collection, and I really like it. And then we didn't play it for a long time. And just recently, I played it again on Board Game Arena, actually. And I was like, man, this game holds up. It is still as good to me right now, 8 years into being in this hobby, as it was when I played it in my first year of being in the hobby. And I just, yeah, it's a good one.
It's really a strange game. When you play it the first time, you're like, wow, this is something very, very new. If you haven't played this deck builders, then you play it many times in a while. Then you just put it away, and then you get lots of expansions. Then you don't have space to store them, so you just don't want to sort them. Then you take 5 years break, then you play and you sort them finally after waiting 5 years. And now I'm in the situation that they are in one metal box that we got one Christmas that was full of these chocolate nuts and everything, like very good kind of Christmas tree. It's now all my Dominion cards are in that one, and I need to sort it. So I'm not touching it now. It's soon has been 5 years since the last play, but soon I will touch it. Not yet, but I have to.
Yeah.
But great game, and every time you play it, you remember how good it was. That's very, very not that common in a game, and it's a good
That's
thing
true.
in a game.
Yeah, so like it hooks you the first time, and then it keeps kind of giving you a reason to still be in the hobby every time you play it.
Yeah.
Which is perfect for this list.
Yeah. It might have been, should have been, maybe should have been higher on the list for that reason. But now it's here because this goes in a yearly order.
Okay, ooh, getting on up there. It's time for our number 2 game. My number 2 is Shadows over Camelot, which is a lot like Battlestar Galactica, but I did not like Battlestar Galactica the first time I played it. I was like, no, can the Cylons just kill us all now so the game can be over? I bounced off it real hard. I played it again recently and had a much better time. But Shadows over Camelot, though, also does the Hidden Traitor. And this really comes down to a theme. And again, very early, the things that were really hooking me early in my time in the hobby, as you've probably noticed from how I've described them all, is theme and narrative. And I just really enjoy the King Arthur theme. And this is the first game I played really that had that hidden traitor mechanic that wasn't fully focused on social deduction. You know, the Resistance, it is about the social deduction. Shadows over Camelot, you might not have a traitor. You know, the game isn't focused just on social deduction. You are also trying to go around to all the different areas on the board and accomplish all these different tasks to get points to win. And maybe you're being sabotaged, but maybe you aren't. And it's the kind of thing that later made me go, oh, I wonder if I should try that Dead of Winter game, because I really liked Shadows over Camelot. And it also is the first game I played where it was like every turn, something bad is going to happen to you. You pull from the good deck and you pull from the bad deck. And it was the first game I played that had that. That really makes you feel like, oh my gosh, it just feels, even though it's a cooperative game, it's so tight. It's so tense. You know, you're like, there's something horrible. I have to make a sacrifice every turn, and every decision is hard. I don't want to have to do any of the things. And that is so interesting to me. I don't get this one to the table very often now because you can't play it at 2. You need at least 3 people to play this game. And that's just not, especially now, you know, that's very rare. But I really, now I'm thinking about it, I'm like, man, I'd really like to play this game again.
Yeah, I want to play it again also. Now that you talked about it.
So that's my number 2. Now I'm thinking about it. I'm like, I want to like it has so many different bits to it too. You need to do set collection and turn in cards to defeat, to defeat the Picts or to get the Grail. You know, you need to play down cards, but every time you play down a card, another card could come out. You have to play because the bad deck told you have to, or you're a traitor, who knows. It's just this constant tug of war and, mitigation of bad things versus good things, and I would really like to play it now.
Yeah.
So I guess that's why it's my number 2.
Yeah, and it's difficult even without the traitor. I mean, we were learning the game without the traitor, and we didn't win it very easily.
Yeah.
And don't you have to have 5 players to have a traitor, I think.
That might be true. Yeah.
Because with three with the traitor would be
you'd be like
ridiculous. Yeah, but this is very, very elegant design, and if someone who is listening to this hasn't tried it, and it's possible to try this. I mean,
yeah.
I played Battlestar Galactica before I played this one. If it was the other way, I would probably appreciate this more than I do. I still have it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to sell it. I have the expansion too. But it just doesn't get to the table for some reason. But I really want to get it to the table. I've had this feeling for a year almost that I have to get this played with 5 players.
Yeah.
But Corona and everything.
Right.
Five players
Gotta
is too
wait.
much.
Yeah. It is interesting. It's a game that when I first got into the hobby, I felt like people were talking about a lot.
Yeah.
But now I don't feel like I ever hear anyone talking about this game. I'm like, no, don't forget about it. It's still really good.
Yeah, and it's really elegant and it's clean and it works very well. It is difficult and tight. No matter what happens there, it has never been easy to win it, at least in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
It's really well done game.
Yeah. Yeah, that's my number 2, Shadows over Camelot.
My number 2 is from year 2015, or that's the time when I played this, and now this could be Resistance Avalon or Spyfall also, but
Ooh, yeah.
this is Codenames.
Uh-huh.
Just for the
Good
reason
choice.
that for maybe 2 months, every time I went to the board game club, I brought the Codenames. I had the English version of Codenames. I ordered it from somewhere abroad, and I had this English version, and no one else had it in the city. I brought it, and there were 8 people at the same table, and we played it for an hour before beginning to play any, so to say, real games. And this happened
Yeah.
for almost 2 months in a row, every Thursday when I went to the board game club. And for this reason, this has to be this high, because it showed me that one game can bring people together, and when the people are together, you can go and play some good games. No, Codenames is a good. It's a good game, but this is very. I mean, I haven't played it for a very long time now. I've played the 2-player version lately, but this one not for a long time, and yeah, maybe people are still experiencing this. People are still finding this, that wow, this is so simple. There's cards with words and there's this grid, and 2 people are trying to explain this, and it just works. Vlada is some kind of a wizard with this, that whatever he does, it works, no matter how different it is from the earlier design he has, and this is good. It's not my favorite game anymore, but it's very important game to include.
I agree with you. Yeah, that's a really good one.
It was the same with
I feel like a lot of
Spyfall.
people.
Sorry?
Mm-hmm. I was going to say, I think a lot of people could have this game, could have Codenames on their list of top games that hooked them to the hobby. I think it's one that's really accessible to a lot of people, and that probably has introduced a lot of people to other games. And it is, you're right, it's such a great one, almost as like a warm-up game. You're like, oh, everyone's gathering. This is something the whole group can play together before we split off into smaller games. And I think that's a really valuable thing.
Yeah. Before, I mean, we had the board game club open in autumn and beginning of last year, and Just One is taking the place of this in a way. But
I could see that.
You can just jump in, and then while we wait for other people, you can just jump in, even if the game is in the middle. There's just one person more, and the Codename was the same. You just join the team.
Yeah.
You can't go to explain the words, but you can just join the team. So you go to this team, you go to this team, and then when the people are together, we begin playing. This is so good. This is good.
Yeah.
Concept is good. Just One is good, and then like I said, Spyfall. It happened also. We played it so much within 1 month since I got the game. So much in the board game club. Same thing in the beginning, and then when people were there, we just went to play proper games, so to say. And Resistance was the same thing, especially this Avalon. In the beginning or in the middle of something that people don't know what to go to play, or if the games end at different times, then we play Avalon. And everyone are always complaining that they are again playing Avalon in the next table. We don't hear anything about this rules explanation. Because all the time they were talking so much. And yes, that was annoying, but still. Anyway, my number 2, Codenames, or it could be any other, this kind of a warm-up game.
Yeah. That's a great one. All right, we've done it. We've made it to our number 1 game that hooked us / brought us / got us into the hobby. So, My number one, and it really is, if we're thinking about like chronological order of, this is probably the latest one on the list that I was introduced to, so that's why it's number one for my list, and it's 1775 Rebellion, the American Revolution from Academy Games, and this is kind of that extension of Memoir 44. So playing Memoir 44 got me to want to start looking into more war-ish or historically based games. And this was the next step into that for me, was 1775. And gosh, this game, I think this is such a good game. It's still one of my favorite games. I had one play of this game. We played a 4-player version of it, where it was one of the most tense, tight board game experiences I've ever had. Every turn you went, oh, I think we're going to win. And then the next turn you went, oh my gosh, I think we're going to lose. And the next turn you went, oh, I think we might win. Oh, I think we might lose. It was so exciting and close. And as I've gotten more and more now into more war or historical based games, this is really the game that opened that up for me a little more, where I was able to kind of understand. I mean, it's really an area control game with a war theme is what it is.
Yeah.
But it starts to introduce you again to this idea of like, I have cards, and the cards have movement points or events that I can play. I need to move my troops around. I need to control this area, and I need to think about bolstering this, or then I'm going to move into here. I'm going to try and do combat, and then I'm going to roll. It has a lot of things I like. I get to roll dice for combat in it. I think the turn order system is really interesting in this game, where you put your player color cubes in a bag and you randomly draw them out to see what the turn order is going to be. So you might end up randomly with 2 turns in a row, or you might start and end the round, or you might, you don't know how it's going to go. And all of these things made this game so interesting to me, made me love it so much, and then made me want to look at more games that are sort of like this but go deeper. And so that's why I think it is a great one for this list of games that hooked me into the hobby and made me want to do or see or play more. So 1775 is my number one.
This is the only one from the Academy Games that I have played, but it's years ago since I played it, and I want to play this 878 Vikings so much, but it's been out of print
I
for
love
a
878
while.
Vikings. Oh man, come over to my house. Come on out to California. I have a copy.
Yeah, it's a bit
878
long
Vikings
distance.
is really interesting.
Yeah, but they came up with a second print run. I think it's been available now for a few weeks. But I really want to try this 878. What other games did you find? You said that it made me want to find. How deep did you go into this board gaming? I mean, wargaming. Are you in the GMT level already? You just played Paragon yesterday and
dipping my toes in to like GMT style games. So I went from 1775 to the Quartermaster General.
That's good.
Which is there's different ones, and now I'm blanking on the exact one that we have, but I'm going to look it up so that I know. Quartermaster General board game.
That QM is quite good, actually. I thought that I wouldn't like it, but it works so well, and it's so fast, and it's so simplified war game game with a war theme. But yeah, it's really
Quartermaster
good.
General 1914, that's what it is the one that I went into next, which I did not think I was going to like, and then I really did. And that one's more about like hand management and deck management. But then from there we went into, I've got some I always am forgetting the publisher of it. Storms of Steel, which is in the Conflict of Heroes series. So then we got into Conflict of Heroes, which is more like actual, like you have chits, and the chits have their stats on them. And
That's too far. I'm not going that. I'm not touching those.
I tell you what, that for a long time I've looked at games little tan beige cardboard chits and been like, no thank you. But I actually really like these Conflict of Heroes ones. We have Storms of Steel and Guadalcanal are the two that I've played. And then from there, I went into Undaunted, which isn't a step deeper. Undaunted Normandy and North Africa are kind of steps back. I just hit my microphone, sorry. Kind of steps back more like at kind of an introductory level because it's a deck building along with more of that war game. They're really interesting. I really love the Undaunted games. And then the deepest I've gotten, it's not really a war game, I wouldn't say. It's more of like a historical game. But we have Here I Stand, which is a game that my partner got really into that I can sort of hang with. It's a bit much for me, I have to say, but I can kind of hang with it. And yeah, so I'm kind of dipping my toes into a lot of different areas and seeing like which I like. I think I'm falling mostly on the side of like war-ish games that are more about area control or deck building or hand management. But some of that more tactical stuff of like moving your troops around and getting them into position and taking into account line of sight and terrain and then rolling combat dice with the right system and the right artwork, if I'm honest, because I'm shallow like that. I can get into that as well. Yeah.
After we talked with Matthew Jude on this topic, because I noticed that he has this Finland fandom going on with this All Bridges Burning. That was actually very nice review he made, especially the beginning.
Yeah.
But still, and then they tried this Cuba Libre with Rodney, so I bought some coin games also.
He has gotten really... Yeah, he started to get into to the war game scene himself. Yes.
I'm going to say that I don't consider those necessarily war games because they
or like historical. Yeah.
Yeah, they're like area control and card management. I don't know. They don't feel war games to me because you don't have these cheats. So I'm fine with them. But when you have cheats, that is borderline craziness, not craziness, borderline to war game. But if you at any point see yourself holding pincers, trying to move your units on a map, then it's too far. Throw the pincers away and run away.
I've never done that. I have pulled out rulers to measure distance for movement. But you've done that too, I'm sure, in your miniatures game. So yeah.
Yeah. So I can't use that. But if you have to use pincers to move your units on a map, it's too far. That at least that's for me. But we just played Cuba Libre, and it's so much easier than it looks. When you play a few turns, it's so well working. The mechanisms are so good. Just don't use event all the time. But actually, you might like it also if you can play it online with Matthew or
Rodney.
That's
true.
Because you don't really need anything. You just need a webcam. One person can run it, as they did on the live stream. That's not as bad as it looks. Not as difficult as it looks.
Yeah, I may have to do that. I haven't really done much in terms of like coin games. I played Root once, but that would be a thing I'd be interested in, like kind of taking a look at. And I guess I wonder if Here I Stand falls into. Now I'm just talking about things I don't really know whether or not Here I Stand falls into coin game territory or not. It's a GMT game. I don't know. I don't know enough about it. I'm still pretty like I said, just kind of dipping my toes in a lot of little areas, seeing like what can I handle in terms of complexity, what am I enjoying, and trying to figure that out. So yeah. But that's all due to a game like 1775. So
yeah, but I don't think coins are that difficult as they look, and they are not really that war games. And I think someone who says that Root is a coin game misses the whole half of the aspect of the coin. But anyway, it's like coin light.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. My number one is a game that taught me that there are still new things, and after that I don't know if I have such an experience. I have, but maybe this is the most important one, and this is Pandemic Legacy Season 1. This taught me a few things when we played this. We played in 4 sessions. I think it took 17 games for us as a 4-player group. This taught me that I will never ever want to play the normal Pandemic again.
Right? I had a similar reaction.
This taught me that a legacy game, even if you rip components, can be worth it. That you don't have to be afraid of doing that. Just do it and enjoy it. Enjoy ripping it and throwing it to trash, and do it in turns and do it as a group. And this taught me that if you are able to gather with the same group every now and then, they become real close to you because of gathering to play that game. And with this group that we played, this 4-player, I think that I would play any of these legacy games, any campaign games, anything. I would play with the same group through. But one of them moved, and one of them moved a bit closer, but moved, and one of them moved also. So all of them are living a bit scattered around.
Yeah.
They are still in some kind of close proximity, and maybe once a year we could get together, but not like this anymore. And I haven't played season 2. We played now we are in February of season 0. We played
nice.
We failed the prologue actually. It was more difficult because you have to complete it fully, and when you go to January and February, it's enough if you half complete it. So we half completed January and February, and we're moving into March. But we haven't played it for now 2 months, and it's actually a review copy sent to me by Asmodee. So but I said that I can take it, but I'm not sure when I can play because of Corona.
Right.
But we played
exactly. That's made everything hard. Yeah.
And I think season 0 will be better than season 1. The theme is so much better, and they have some things in the game that are worth trying out. Not to spoil anything.
Nice. Yeah. Yeah, but legacy games are so interesting. I think you make a good point that I think a lot of people go, oh, well, it's a legacy game. I can only play it once. And I'm like, well, how? But you're going to play it 12 to, if you're playing one game for each month, and sometimes it's going to take you 2 playthroughs to get through that month. You're playing it bare minimum 12 times. I can't think of many other games I'm consistently getting to the table 12 times, if I'm honest. And I just think that the replayability is more than people think it is. Yeah. And
we did this Legacy Season 1 in a way that we paid it 4 away. I mean, we all contributed, so we group bought it. So even the price it was like 15 euros per person or something. So it's less than 1 euro per game. Exactly. Less than 1 euro per game per person. And
it's pretty good.
And for these legacy games, it's perfect that you get a group and everyone agrees that we will play this. No matter how expensive the game. You can buy this Clank Legacy, but buy it as a group. So there is some kind of commitment from everyone in the group to play it, so that you don't have to leave it in the middle. That's the problem with legacy games and campaign games. But it's a really good idea to group buy a game and then play it through and be done with it.
That's such good advice. Yeah.
But yeah, that was my number 1.
All right. Wow, our top 9. Pretty good.
Yeah, it really good lists, both of them.
Yeah, they were.
I will put these lists up for a paddle to Instagram and then share it to Twitter. What do you think of your chances in winning this paddle?
Oh, I mean, I feel like I got a lot of classics on my list, so I feel like, people might think that I have the better list full of... I mean, you got some good classics, too. I have no idea. I'll be really curious to see what people think.
We have really different lists, by the way. You have so much variety. I'm stuck with these miniatures and card games in the beginning, and then I have the variety. But I really don't know. Both lists are really good.
They are
and
good.
These are really personal lists.
Yeah,
so can we evaluate them? Can we say that one is better than the other?
We might not be able to, because you're right. They are really personal. And I mean, just about everything you said on your list, I was like, oh, yeah, that is good, so, yeah.
You didn't have any bad games on your list either.
Well, thank you.
I mean, I haven't played Betrayal on the House of the Hill, but everything else that I've played or know about are really good.
Yeah. I mean, good enough to hook me at least.
Yeah, and these are actually good lists for anyone to check and try if they haven't played much.
Yeah.
Especially if they haven't played much.
Yeah, you too, listener, could be hooked by any one of these games.
Yeah. Although I'm not endorsing Magic the Gathering, Warhammer or Blood Bowl in any way or means. Stay away from them if you value your free time and
your wallet.
Economical status.
That's so true. Oh, yeah.
Anyway. Thank you so much for joining.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. This has been really fun.
It went a bit long, but anyway, it's been a really good
Yeah, we had a lot of good stuff to say.
And we had really good lists. I'm really happy with the lists.
Good. Me too.
Yeah. I don't know when this will be out, but when this will be out, if people want to find you from somewhere, where can they find you from?
Yeah, so if you're interested in seeing my board game sketch comedy, just head over to YouTube and just type in Things Get Dicey. Should pull it up. You can also follow me on Twitter at Things Get Dicey, or you can follow my personal Twitter to see all the other things I'm doing, which is at Paula Deming, which is PaulaDeming. And that'll show you just all the variety of things. So find me on Twitter.
All right. So people go and find Paula because her jokes and sketches are quite good, at least in my opinion. I like the humor and the writing and the filming, and you do a good work with your partner, I think, in some of them.
Thank you very much.
Mentioned at some point. They are really well done.
Thank you.
The directions and these other choices are very well designed.
Thank
so
you.
People, if you want to see short quality comedy, I don't know about the quality of the comedy, but the quality well-made comedy. You might or might not like it.
The video quality is good. Will you think the jokes are funny? Who knows?
But go and take a look. And you will see Paula in many places in the future, I think, in streaming and everywhere. But let's let Paula free currently. I will go to sleep and...
Yes, it's late where you are.
Yeah, it's past midnight already.
Woo!
So we'll say bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you for listening. You can find this podcast from SoundCloud with username Mitä Pelataan. You can also find the podcast from Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Should be in Amazon Podcasts also at some point. And it should be found anywhere you listen to your podcasts. You can find me from Instagram and Twitter with username Mitä Pelataan. There's a page in Facebook, Mitä Pelata, and you can just search by Mitä Pelataan and you should find me from many places. I have a blog, mitapelataan.wordpress.com, where you can find information about this channel and all the links to related media. You should be able to find me from YouTube as well by searching Mitä Pelataan. You can send me email to mitapelataan@gmail.com. There's also a guild in Boardgame Geek, number 3320. Interact in any way you can, comment anything, up to you, but interact with me please. And if you listen this far, please leave a review, subscribe so that people find out about this podcast. And one more time, thank you for listening and bye bye. The music used in this series was Nightwalker by Sentient Pulse. Thank you for that.